Well, today, in light of recent events and the recent question, I want to talk a little bit about what I do and why I do it. Because to me, it makes an awful lot of sense, but apparently not everybody. Recently, I got asked, there was a trainer out here, and the trainer's assistant asked me, "Do you ever ride the horses you work with?" And that was a fair question because every time they see me, I got a horse in hand, but there's a reason for that. Is I don't ride them until they're ready to be ridden. And as a result, no injuries, no problems. And, today, the alternative method of doing very little groundwork at all and saddling up a horse and riding it proved to be rather catastrophic today. A couple of broken doors, a busted saddle. Fortunately, no injuries. But this is what I want to talk about, is how I do things is kind of a result of when I first started playing with horses years ago. I was already up in my years, and I never was a particularly good rider. So, I'm not a rodeo cowboy, and at my age, if I hit the dirt, chances are pretty good something's going to break. And we don't want that. So I figured there's got to be a better way of doing things. And about that time, natural horsemanship was a fair bit of a craze. And they did a lot more groundwork, a lot different methods than some of the conventional stuff that I was aware of, but I didn't grow up with it, so I didn't grow up with anything actually. So I was kind of open-minded I just sat back and looked at the whole situation and decided, what's going to work best? What makes sense? What is going to be gentle for the animal, efficient, safe for me, and all these things. And I figured the best thing to do was make the horse safe before I ever got on it. Because, hey, quite frankly, I'm not a big fan of falling off and getting hurt. It just doesn't sound like a good idea to me. And I'm pretty sure it's not a good idea for most people. So I decided, there's got to be a better way. And, like I said, that was when natural horsemanship was in its infancy, and it was quite popular back then. And it emphasized doing a lot more groundwork before you ever ride the horse. Well, I took that even a step further, and I emphasize doing groundwork long before you ever get on a horse. And what I do, it's not new and it's not unique to me. However, I am definitely in a very small minority as far as my way of doing things goes. So yeah, it's not, especially in these areas. I'm a very, very small minority how I do things. But the reason I do things the way I do, it's kind of like a human education. Everybody needs grade 1 to 12, no matter what you're going to do. You might become functional in life with a grade 10 or 8 or something, but you can't get into university without 12. Every horse needs grade 12. After that, you can get further education and at higher sort. That's when you've got the saddle on its back, and because there's actually very little when it comes to problems in that, you do not fix things from the saddle. I can only actually think of maybe 2 things that get fixed from the saddle, relatively safe. Other than that, everything gets fixed before you get on the horse. And it teaches it everything it needs to know so that when you do get on its back, it's not all stressed out and freaked out by all this new stuff happening that it does not understand, because you've given it an education that allows it to understand things so that when you do finally get on its back, it's like, oh, yeah, I know what this means. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to get stressed out about it. As you notice, I'm just going to throw this in. It's kind of off topic, but you'll notice we're out on the road here today. And one of the things that we were doing is we were just taking her for a walk to see if she'd pay attention to me instead of trying to eat grass, which she's doing now, but that's okay because I'm letting her. But as long as we were walking along, she was not eating grass. She was paying attention to me, and that's what you want. You don't want the horse focusing on its surroundings and freaking out about the tack and the building and the wind noise on the roof and anything else, or the bushes or anything. You want the horse focused on you, and that's what I was concentrating on today. As a bonus, we had a couple cars drive by too. She paid absolutely no attention to them whatsoever, so that was good too. But going back to what I was talking about with the style of things that I do is I teach the horse what it needs to know before you ever introduce a saddle to it. so that by the time you throw a saddle on its back, it's not a big deal. That first ride, it might not really understand what you want, but it's not going to freak out about it, hopefully. Now, there's exceptions to every rule. You may still end up with a rodeo on your hands. I won't promise you it's not going to happen, but you can certainly reduce the odds by giving the horse a very good education before you ever get on its back. With my own horses, before I ever got on the back of my other one, and she's out there in the pasture, she pretty much knew how to be ridden. You know, there really wasn't a whole lot left to teach her by the time I got on her back. So that's why I do what I do the way I do it, and basically that's what I do. I put my emphasis on groundwork, giving the horse an education before you put a saddle on it. I'm not a rodeo cowboy. I don't want a rodeo act going on. I don't want broken bones. I don't want broken doors, broken saddles, broken anything, you know, and a scared horse. Because we had quite a show go on earlier today that I'm not even going to talk about. But it did not go well, although fortunately there were no injuries involved. So I guess in that respect it did go okay. But you know what I do, you know, like I said, I'm a very small minority here, but I think there's good reason for doing things the way I do it. I do all the educating before the saddle comes along. So by the time the saddle comes along, there's not much left to teach the horse, except it's going to university then. It's had all its basic education, and you can teach it whatever, you know, fine arts you want, or go into whatever discipline you want with your horse. Or if it was a human, it would be a, you know, specialty education for a trade or profession of some kind, and that's what you need to do. So horses pretty much the same. They all need grade 1 to 12. They all need that same basic education. And I believe that education can take place on the ground before you ever get on the horse. And that's the way I like to do it, because, you know, I don't bounce well, so I much prefer to make the horse safe before I ever get on it. And that's why I do what I do, how I do it. Have a good day, folks.